Hey, everybody. It is Tuesday, and the Warriors have won Game 5. My voice is a little raspy, but I'm going to get through the show, and we got a lot to talk about, Molly.
We definitely do. We're going to kick it off and spend some time on Coinbase's 1,000-plus person layoffs, what that's going to mean, what the company is going to do going forward, how it's been handled, and then the EU's crypto regulation already in progress.
Yeah, and then we'll talk about Netflix has reportedly engaged Roku and Comcast to talk about an ad-supported tier. Very interesting news there.
Yeah, when in trouble, get some help, I think. We're going to talk about, this may come as a surprise, Catholic prayer in the form of the meditation app Hallow, which is partnered with Mark Wahlberg to promote it.
Oh, Mark Wahlberg, get your prayers up. Speaking of praying, we're going to showcase a startup called Prey, P-R-E-Y, that helps you track lost laptops because producer Justin, early Sunday morning, found out that his laptop and my laptop, his corporate issued laptop, have been stolen. And you're going to find out at the end of the show how he tracked the culprits and if he was ultimately able to recover thousands of dollars worth of laptops stolen in Bed-Stuy, do or die, Brooklyn.
It is going to be a great show.
So stick with us.
This Week in Startups is brought to you by Wealthfront. Wealthfront makes it easy to invest and easy to grow your savings with a diversified portfolio that balances your other riskier bets. To start building your wealth and get your first $5,000 managed for free, go to wealthfront.com/twist. Thorne empowers people to take control of their long-term well-being with a proactive science-based approach to health. Through a variety of at-home tests, Thorne teaches you about what your body needs and provides the right high-quality, certified nutritional supplements for you. To get started and take 10% off your first order, head to thorne.com/u/twist. And OpenPhone. As a startup founder, a lot of mistakes are easy to roll back, but using your personal cell phone number as your company number isn't one of them. OpenPhone makes it easy to get business phone numbers for you and your team right on top of your existing devices. Visit openphone.com/twist to get 20% off your first 6 months.
All right, so before we get into the show, we've got something for founders looking to raise capital. Yes, we now have 2 spots left for our next remote demo day. It's on June 29th. And if you're an early stage startup and you got a product in the market, that's important. You got to have a little bit of traction. And you're looking to raise 500K-ish or more. Apply today, remote demo day at remotedemoday.com. It's that simple. And then you get to pitch the 10,000 investors plus who are in the syndicate.com. And we'll help you raise your round. You can be like Gigster, which runs an Airbnb-like location marketplace for creators. I'm on the board of the company. And I had the co-founder, Hank Lieber, on episode 1196. They came on remote demo day and they raised millions of dollars. So maybe that'll be you as well. There is no charge to do this. We do this to help the community. And we're always taking applications. So if you're interested in going later, you can go to the same thing, remotedemoday.com.
Check it out. All right, let's get into the news. This morning, Coinbase laid off 18% of its staff after, obviously, a pretty intense couple of weeks in the crypto space. Real quick note on Coinbase's stock performance going into these layoffs, which cannot have come as a surprise to anybody. The stock is down 78% from a year ago. It's down about 86% from its 2021 high of $357 a share in November. The market cap dropped from almost $80 billion in November 2021 to $11.3 billion today. Coinbase looks like it's got, as of Q1, at least $6.1 billion in cash, total revenue of $1.1 billion in Q1, and a total net loss in Q1 of $430 million.
All right. It's very important to note, people get a little confused about this.
Yeah.
There's revenue, there's how much cash you have, and then there's the market capitalization. And now people will say, well, this company was worth $100 billion. So that doesn't mean they have $100 billion in cash laying around. That's the value put on the company by the last share bought times the total number of shares. That's how the valuation is done.
Right.
The last person to buy a share buys it for $100 and they have, whatever, 1 billion shares and it's worth $100 billion. So just keep that in mind when these layoffs happen. Their cash position, cash in the bank, cash equivalents, they call it a fancy term, that is billion plus. They got like 6.1, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's different than their market cap. So it's just a common mistake people make because they're like, well, why would they, if it's a $15 billion or a $50 billion company, why would they care if they have 1,000 plus or minus? It's because the cash on hand is what they have. In order to get more cash, they would need to sell more shares. And there might not be a market for people to buy shares in a crypto company on this day.
Right. And $6 billion is a pretty good amount of cash, but not if your core business is declining rapidly. So let's break down the layoffs and exactly how many people were impacted. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong published the note that he shared with the team in which he said, we grew too fast. We overhired. We scaled too quickly. Coinbase has a little over 6,000 employees right now, which is up from 1,250 employees at the start of 2021. So in 18 months, they grew staff by almost 5x and brought over, well over 4,000 new team members. And now they're laying off 1,100 people. So if they had done a layoff of this size in, say, January 2021, that would have been 90% of the company. It's a massive, it's just we talked about like a 25-point swing in the Warriors game. This is kind of like that. I mean, it's intense. In the post, he says, 3 main reasons, right? Economic conditions have changed. Managing costs is critical in down market. And Coinbase grew too quickly. He said they have to manage expenses and increase efficiency. And that's why they're doing these layoffs.
And they were pretty great to people. They're giving them 14 weeks of severance, which if you are in any of the lower rung, starting out careers in the world, you look at these layoffs and you're like, 14 weeks plus 2 weeks for every year. Like people who work in factories, people who drive.
You just get fired. Yeah.
I mean, you just get fired. It's like, good luck with unemployment. These are incredibly generous. Anybody who's got these jobs will find another job after they take a long, delightful summer off. And so as horrible as layoffs are, I always try to put these in context for people. These are high-tech workers who had 10 offers when they decided to go to Coinbase in all likelihood, or 10 options. They probably have 5 options or 3 options right now that are amazing, and they'll be fine. Their stock is worth probably very little or none on the way out because they are underwater. The stock price went down and they had a strike price. So if the stock is trading below that stock price, they're underwater. But they took that chance. But I read the letter this morning. I just, I always like to hear the tone. My hot take, perfect note. They took responsibility. They defined reality. Hey, 1, 2, 3, here's what's going on as candid as possible. Gave a little pep talk. And then he explained the mechanics of the layoff for a remote company. I don't know if you noticed that, but there was that dip from that company who did everybody on the same Zoom. If you're watching the Zoom, you're fired.
Better.com.
Better. Oh my God. So what he said was, listen, I'm really sorry about how we're doing this, but there is no way to do this. We had to send an email to everybody. And in that email, it will tell you if you're laid off or not. I know this seems very cold. We will have turned off your accounts. The reason we're doing that is to protect the customers, because some people have customer access, and to protect people who might make a rash decision at this time or something to that effect. It was like a very meta, well thought out, like, I'm going to explain to you there's no way to do layoffs properly, but this is the best we came up with, and here's why we did it that way. Yeah. So you don't have that shock of like the how you broke up with me. Some people don't like the how, They want you to break up in a classy way, and they think you did that. So
you should do that. You should always break up in a classy way. Like, come on.
It's you, not me. Yeah. It's me, not you.
What is some other interesting context in as this is happening is that last week, and we sort of missed this, there seemed to be, it's interesting what's been going on there. There seemed to have been a little bit of maybe like a mini mutiny, like a post that could have been, one person or many, we don't know, called Operation Revive Coin on this writing platform mirror.xyz. And they said, we, the employees at Coinbase, believe the executive team has recently been making decisions that are not in the best interest of the company, its employees, and its shareholders. And they specifically called out the COO, the CPO, and the Chief People Officer, not Brian Armstrong, which was interesting. No. And they listed these 8 reasons why they thought these executives should be fired, including the NFT platform, over prioritizing certain products. And then one of the things they said was aggressive hiring for thousands of roles, despite the fact that it is an unsustainable plan and contrary to the wisdom of the crypto industry. And they also called out rescinding offers to new employees.
Yeah. This is what happens when something comes apart. The arrows start flying, the finger pointing happens. We're going to see a lot more of this. And CEO Brian Armstrong, who is, I think, emboldened to communicate, and he's a good communicator, apparently. Like, his ability to write is pretty good and communicate. So I think he is like a new breed of like, I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to go quiet. I'm not going to do PR speak. He basically said this is really dumb on multiple levels. And he said in his second point, first of all, if you want to do a vote of no confidence, you should do it on me and not blame the execs. Who do you think is running the company? I was a little offended not to be included. Smiley face. So he's, being a little trolly. Number 3, second, if you have no confidence in the execs or CEO of the company, then why are you working at that company? Quit and find a company to work at that you believe in! Exclamation point. I think that was pretty good. There was probably lots we can, and then he just admits, but probably lots we can do better. But if you're at a place where you want to leak stuff externally, then it's time for you to go. You're hurting yourself and those around you. And he basically said, if we catch you, we're going to fire your ass as well. So this is going to be the rest of the summer and into the fall. And then for some of the legal cases, which is this won't fall into, but other crypto projects like Luna, there was this thing going around over the weekend that Do Kwon had liquidated some billions of dollars of his Luna or Terra in that stablecoin collapse. Who knows if that's true? But there's going to be a lot of discovery, legal, DOJ actions, civil lawsuits, it's going to, and blog posts and anonymous blog posts as crypto comes apart.
Yeah. And I think you're going to see companies have these kinds of, people are going to be upset, right? Like, no matter how perfectly you handle it, there are going to be people who are going to be upset. It sounds like a big part of what was happening is that there was some obvious telegraphing that layoffs were going to happen, and employees probably thought the company scaled too fast. Like, it's interesting because it's this double, right? You can have leadership, but you can also have wisdom of the crowds, where it's very possible people internally were like, okay, but there are some warning signs that maybe, this isn't, the rocket doesn't always go up.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't be hiring this many people. And obviously they didn't feel listened to. But that's also like what happens when you work at a company. They set the agenda and you're either on board or you're not.
Yeah. And I think I think Brian's point about like, if you're not happy, like doing these kind of things causes a disturbance for the people who might be happy at the company and enjoying their time there. So the best thing to do is just move on in your life. Like, it's the bitterness of like this kind of stuff, I think, is it's just wasted energy. Just go find another gig. I think, if Coinbase had their stock price high and it was above people's strike price, that never gets written. And if the company's growing and people are still trading crypto, but the bigger picture here is crypto market has actually collapsed. There are no more buyers. The buy side is gone. And as I said the other day, when you lose the buy side, everything just plummets to base value. I talked about it yesterday. I talked about it for the last month. And the base value is going to be like, how much cash do you have? What's your revenue and earnings? Some multiple on that. And, maybe the goodwill. We talked about goodwill, like the IP, like, does Coinbase mean anything to people? It does. It's the most respected brand in crypto. So, but really, I think going over the monster Q2 of 2021 is the big one here, because remember, all the stimulus happened in the end of the year one of the, there was a lot of stimulus that happened, I think, in end of 2020 and into 2021. People were getting unemployment and unemployment bonuses that were more money for a brief period of time, like 6-12 months in a lot of locations. They were getting more money to stay at home than to go to work. And people weren't able to spend money going out. So that's when you had the balance sheet flip massively. All of a sudden, everybody had massive savings and they weren't spending. So this is just like this incredible moment of time. And then you have a bunch of cash sitting around. You get a little frisky. Yeah, maybe you heard about some coins and you want to place a bet on Bitcoin or whatever. Or you want to buy a stock because you heard about AMC is going to the moon. Listen, Wealthfront is an investment platform that lets you open up low-fee IRAs, 401ks, and more. But here is the amazing innovation they created. They call it self-driving money. Basically, it's a robo-advisor that builds you a custom investment portfolio of ETFs based on your preferences, your risk score, and your interests. Example, they have a socially responsible portfolio option if that's your bag. And they do all of this for a fraction of the cost of a traditional advisor. They also have an amazing net worth calculator where you can see your projected net worth over time. It takes into account your average deposit size, any major purchases or windfalls like buying a house or receiving an inheritance, or maybe you get some equity in a company. It's really an incredible way to manage your money and build your wealth over time. And a lot of my family members use it and friends use it, and they learn how to take agency for their financial future. It's a gorgeous app. It's a beautiful interface. It's so easy to use. I absolutely love Wealthfront. Twist listeners can get, listen to this, their first $5,000 managed for free for life. But you have to go to wealthfront.com/twist. That's WEALTHFORNT.com/twist to start building your wealth today. But maybe you can walk us through Q2 of last year, because the numbers they did were bonkers. And the reason we're bringing this up is because they are going to be compared against these numbers in presumably their next earnings report. If you look at Coinbase's strongest quarter to date ever as a public company, it was Q2 2021. And during Q2 of last year, the total top line revenue was $2.2 billion. That's compared to that $1.1 billion last quarter in Q1 that I mentioned. So half, right? Right.
Q2 2021 net income or profit was $1.6 billion. That is compared to losing $430 million last quarter. The number of retail monthly transacting users in Q2 2021 were 8.8 million compared to 9.2 million last quarter. So actually not a big change there.
Yeah.
And they have added verified users overall. They also, it seems like, really tried to court institutional clients. So in Q2 2021, they reported 9,000 institutionals on the platform, which of course you want, right? Because they're less volatile. We don't know how many of those big whales are still on the platform, but we may find out.
One note on the institutionals, my understanding is they pay for custodial services. So you pay, I think it might be 1% or 1.5% for them to hold your crypto and make sure it's safe and, cold storage type stuff. And remember, that came up because maybe it was 3 weeks ago, you and I talked, Molly, about the fact that the deposits of people on Coinbase were not secure. They could be used as collateral in the bankruptcy thing, and they had put that in a filing. Yeah. These institutional clients are in a different category because they pay. And so my prediction, a little bit of a hot take here, is that they may start charging you to keep your demolished crypto portfolio at Coinbase. So imagine they said to you, if you told me you had $1,500 that went down to $500 or something in that range. Now imagine they go to you and say, yeah, and by the way, you got to pay us $5 a year to keep the $500 here. Or if you had 5,000, you got to pay 50. Would you take it out? Probably not. And now they've got a base of, and that would, for that, they would guarantee you that it was safe, and it couldn't be taken into bankruptcy. So they have to architect their system to do that. So just something a little mini prediction from me. Yeah,
no, that's a good one. Well, and also, I think mini prediction from JP Morgan today, right? Vis-a-vis Coinbase. JP Morgan downgraded it after being pretty bullish for a long time, saying they're going to have a hard time turning a profit. And I do think, two things are going to happen. One, Coinbase's next earnings call is going to be in comparison to this bananas stimmy quarter from Q2 2021. So in terms of a stock price effect, that is going to be terrible. And then second, as they have noted in previous filings, the majority of their revenue comes from these transaction fees. So if people are not trading, it's a big problem for revenue, right? It's like if people stop buying iPhones and they haven't really shored up the AirPod Pro business and the banking and finance side of things. So in terms of those future revenue models, if people just stop trading crypto, even if they're just holding, it's somewhat in doubt. And the earnings report, we just need to, we can't say this enough times. It's going to look so horrible in comparison that it's almost going to be unfair.
This is where subscription businesses are so in vogue. If they had been a subscription business all this time and they had 9 million people paying a subscription of but $5 a month, that would be $45 million. $45 million, across a year would be, roughly 500 million and change of pure profit, unadulterated, pure profit. And that's at but $5. Now, if it was $10, they'd have $1 billion. $1 billion. Now, if they lost 5% of the users every quarter, but they were making $1 billion, it'd still be a better business. Mm-hmm. So it's basically going to turn into Netflix if, they want to try to keep this business alive long term. Now, they do have the $6 billion. So if they're losing 500 million a quarter, mm-hmm. What was the loss the last quarter? I think it was like 500 million or something in that range.
Yeah, just like 430.
Okay. So let's say they lose
500.
I'm just going to say 500. They got $6 billion in the bank.
So they basically have $2 million a year. Sorry, $200
so they have basically 3 years of runway to figure this out. If this recession takes a year, I think it's I said 3-4 quarters is what I thought it was going to be. We're in the second. So that means sometime into next year, things start to go sideways and go back, start to go back up, maybe modestly. I think they have plenty of runway to get there. It's like unlike the BuzzFeed or Peloton situation where you were like, whoa, cash crunch under no cash, 10 quarters. So, and this is what benefited Uber with their cash position, Airbnb, cash position, DoubleClick back in Web 1.0 had a huge cash position. So when the market's hot, cash yourself up. If you don't need the money, that's the best time to raise, is the lesson for founders. When you don't need money, best time to raise. Mm-hmm. And so you just get that little extra bit of cash cushion, then you get to deploy it when the market's down, Molly. So he's actually in the catbird seat. Now, I think the stock's going to keep going down until they get through this quarter and into the next quarter. So I think it's going to be a really tough year. And they took the hard medicine of, and I think making the cuts.
We'll continue to, right? I mean, clearly, I think this is a CEO who will course correct, one imagines. And I think you're absolutely right. You'll start to see those subscription fees come in. Like you'll start to probably see different revenue models. It'll be interesting to watch.
Listen, dealing with your personal health and wellness can be daunting. You're probably being bombarded by ads and you might have no idea where to start. That's why Thorne created a care system that's personalized, preventative, and holistic while still being science-backed. And if you're a high-performing founder or operator, you need to make sure you take care of your health. And that's where Thorne can help. Thorne offers at-home tests which identify where you need the most care, like a gut test that analyzes your gut microbiome, and a stress test that measures your stress hormone fluctuations. Very important to manage that stress. These tests help eliminate the guesswork for good health by providing personalized steps for how to eat, how to exercise, and what supplements you should take. Just reminded me, I got to take care of that. Then they have a range of multivitamins and supplements you can subscribe to. And Thorne is totally vertically integrated, so you're not dealing with anyone in the middle. Again, this is personalized health and wellness. To get started and take 10% off your first order, head to thorne.com/u/twist. That's THORNE.com/u/TWIST to save that 10% and let them know you came from This Week in Startups.
It will also be interesting to watch whether new regulations in the European Union on the crypto market have an ongoing negative effect on crypto and thereby Coinbase and everybody else in this business. So EU regulators,
a positive effect. You could argue both. Yeah,
I think any regulatory certainty will ultimately be good for these businesses. 100% long term. Yeah. Short term, though, it might drive some sketchy crap out of business, which we're going to see anyway.
Yeah.
EU regulators for the 27 member countries are set to meet today, June 14th, and then again on June 30th to talk about kind of harmonizing crypto regulations. They kicked off this effort in September of 2020, and basically they want to try to unify, because there's fragmented regulations across the EU, unify those regulations, figure out what to do about the fact that crypto falls outside of these existing consumer investment frameworks, like we've talked about, whether it's a security or not. How do you even
protections, FDIC, all this stuff. How do you
money
define
laundering, stable coins? How do you define it, and then how does that impact markets globally?
And stable coins, you have to define who's allowed to do this. I mean, who's allowed to build their own currency and then compete against the country or the region's currency. In the case of the EU, it's not one country, it's many countries. Should you really allow somebody to create a digital version of your dollar that's more efficient and controlled by a private company? There's an argument that private companies shouldn't be allowed to do this, and this should only be the purview of governments. Now, a libertarian might say that's BS, but people who want to live in a more controlled society might very much want stable coins to be either illegal or regulated. I would fall into not banning them, not letting them be freewheeling. I would be hyper-regulating them, as in, you have to get a license. You have to have a background check. You need to have everybody on the board has to be insured, bonded, background checked, like serious, like getting a bank charter stuff, which is why getting a bank charter was like the subject of an entire season of Billions was about like, how hard it is to get a bank charter. Like you really want to make this hard for people so that you don't have really weird people like the Tether people or Luna, and Terra versus Tether, two different stable coins. You really don't want these people. But I got a hot take on all this. I think the regulators now have the high ground. Like Obi-Wan. Don't try it, Anakin. Now, anybody doing anything fugazi needs to understand the regulators have the high ground.
Yeah.
And you've already lost one limb to Count Dooku. You got 3 left. I suggest you lean into the 3, literally and figuratively. You do not want to take on the regulators at this point when Celsius, froze everything. Luna, the Tether questions that are still out there. All of these shenanigans, people losing their NFTs to hacks. XRP SEC lawsuit. Shout out to Brad, who was at the Warriors game last night. That was super awkward. I've been so critical. He said they should all go to jail. He's like, hey, meet my kids. I was like, oh my God. Oh, nice to see you, Brad.
My God.
Putting it aside, if you're a regulator right now, you're like, okay, let's see you argue against regulation when everybody's lost everything and we all know that 98% of the projects are a scam and going to zero. There is no high ground. And you know who benefits? Coinbase, Circle, the companies that took preemptive regulation and regulated themselves and maybe over-regulated themselves and were, maybe, judicious on who they listed as a coin and really were thoughtful. Those people are now going to be the ones who benefit.
Yeah. And also get swept up in regulation that they maybe didn't earn because they were trying to do the right thing. But yeah, the fact is, like, in a million different ways. One, we had, if it walks like a bank and quacks like a bank, it's a bank, right? Like Celsius, you're a savings and loan. Sorry. Like if it walks and quacks like derivatives trading, it is Luna and Terra. Like you cannot, you tried to sort of set up these parallel structures to get around existing regulations on institutions that you look exactly like. And then, of course, people got screwed and now everybody is going to get swept up in it. And
had the same exact conversation with Bill Gurley last night at the Warriors game. We're just like, how is this crypto thing? Like they created this whole parallel universe to securities law.
Right.
And I think now the securities folks can say, okay, that was an interesting experience that failed.
Yeah.
And now we're going to take legal action because now that everything's collapsed, we have the proof. So it's kind of like, somebody drives the getaway car, it's packed with diamonds, and then they're speeding. They go through a speed trap. The cop didn't even know they robbed the bank. But this is what criminals do. They just don't stop.
Right.
So the cop then starts chasing them and they kill 3 people, flip the car. They kill one of the passengers. Like everybody dies. The whole thing's a smoking pile of wreck. And then the judge gets it. And he's like, so you stole the diamonds. You were speeding. You killed 2 pedestrians. You killed 2 people in your own car. You killed 2 people in the other car. Like you're going to jail for everything. It's over. Like they give you no benefit of the doubt. The benefit of the doubt when consumers lose their money, Molly, is gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. And it flips to you're guilty because people were hurt. Now that's not fair either because those people put their money in. They knew this was fugazi in a lot of cases. They were greedy. They were acting out of like just no diligence on their part. So
They did, but you still do have to. I mean, and I know that you and I think, differ a little bit in this instance. Like, you think people need to learn how to gamble and they need to learn how to, like, But the fact is, like, people don't learn, right? Like, that would be great if they were learning, but what they are doing is gambling, and they were 100% incentivized by these exchanges to, like, if you make money on exchanges, on literal trades and transactions, then your job is going to be to get as many trades and transactions as possible. And that is always going to be distorting. That's always going to suck people in who don't need to be there and who are going to get hurt.
Yeah, but here's the thing. the owner of Ramsey Sports, when he starts playing in a poker game for boxes of ziti that he can't afford, and then Tony Soprano now owns his sports store, Ramsey Sports, and they just, boost everything out of the place and light it on fire. Like, this guy knew. Like, he understood. Davey. Remember that guy?
Do you feel the same way about the, mortgage-backed security swaps? And
yeah.
I mean, this is why regulation exists, because it is a fine line. Like, people
even in a regulated environment, your point is well taken. In a regulated environment, you're saying, if I may summarize, people cheat.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you cheat in an unregulated environment and you choose to participate in an unregulated, when you go play in an underground poker game, you are going to get screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's an underground poker game. I know guys who are pros who will go to underground poker games knowing that they're probably going to lose just to try to see if they can figure out how they're cheating. You can follow Bob, Harala Bob, on, who used to work for the Dallas Mavericks. And he talked about playing in a game where people were wearing contact lenses and they have like marked cards where you put a little bit of like a liquid on the card. And in the cards, you can tell like those are the aces. So if you just know all the aces in the deck, I mean, just that alone as an advantage is huge. Because you're like, oh, okay, this guy has an ace. He's got an ace. This guy's got 3 aces. Boom. So shout out to Haralaba, but he was explaining this like he played in one of these games. He had a feeling it was rigged. He took a minor loss. The way he figured it out is they wanted him to play heads up, because I had somebody trying to get me to play heads up in my poker career, who I had beaten like 3 or 4 games in a row and, won like, 10 or 20 grand. And they're like, we should play heads up for like 100K or something, or 50K, like whatever, And I was like, yeah, no, I don't play heads up. They really were trying to push me. But he said, okay, yeah, you guys want me to play heads up versus that guy? Yeah. How much? I'll let you stake me for 30 or 40%. In other words, you could buy into my action. Mm-hmm. And they wouldn't take the action. Mm-hmm. And it was like, if you really actually were expert cheats, you would give me take 25% of my action, play the long game, have me lose $1 million, and you'd still be up. Right? Because you'd lose the 25%, but you gain the other 75. There'd be a formula here to actually back him. But when they wouldn't back him in and he's a really good player, he knew that it was crazy. But this is going to be a crazy 6 months. Be prepared for it. And if you're in crypto, here's the good news. I meet a lot of crypto entrepreneurs who are very smart, who are actually building stuff, who are appalled by the grifting they see going on. And they say to me privately, I can't say it because I'm in crypto. I don't want to seem like I'm going against the crypto revolution, but I am appalled that 95%, I agree with you 100%, Jake, how 95% plus of this stuff is a scam, a grift, and incompetence, or some combination of those three. I can't say it, but I'm glad you're saying it, because it's really hard to be part of the 5% that are actually building real stuff and who care about this and care about the core technologies and what they represent. Guess what? Those 5%, just ship product and you'll be fine. Just ship product and delight users. Now is the time for builders and the charlatans and these like wackos who grifted into, NFT projects, try to scam people by creating some bullshit. We can bleep that out, but like cartoon characters and then sell them for, ungodly amounts of money, then peer pressure people into buying them by making them feel less if they didn't own one, and then bringing them into the circle if they did. Like, have you guys never like been, went to high school and felt peer pressure? Like,
well, I was just going to say, yes, exactly. No, like we're living in an environment where a lot of people have not gotten scammed yet. They weren't old enough to get scammed in 2008 and they're getting scammed today. And like, it is true that now the real is going to rise to the top, but it's going to be a harder road for all of them. And they know it.
Yeah.
Because of all of this banana pants.
Listen, lots of founders are loosey-goosey with their personal phone numbers. They put it on their company documents. They use it on sales calls, email footers. It's all over the place. What happens if that salesperson leaves the company and now people are calling and that person's gone on? Maybe they went to a competitor and now they're using their personal phone number to get sales from previous emails that they sent under your email address. But you will clean up all this mess with Open Phone. They help you create a business phone number for you and every member of your team. And it works through an app on your smartphone or desktop. You pick a number, you install the app, bada bing, you're done. That's it. No need to carry 2 phones like back in the day. And by the way, we can tell you Open Phone is amazing because our sales team uses it every day. I kid you not, we use it every day. That's why we're such fans of this. Open Phone. is already super affordable, a starting price of just $10 a month. Twist listeners can get an extra 20% off any plan for your first 6 months by signing up at openphone.com/twist. And if you have an existing phone number with another service, no problem. OpenPhone will port them over for free. So head over to openphone.com/twist. And listen, we get credit for you using the service. You're going to love it, and you're going to save 20%. Okay? Great deal for everybody.
Speaking of a hard road, interesting scoop today from the information regarding the world of streaming. We are, by the way, saving all the news about cricket rights and whatnot for when Lon is on Thursday. Yeah. But update on what's been happening with Netflix. Of course, they've been in some trouble. There's a question about whether they're going to do an ad-supported tier. Now, the information has a scoop saying that it's apparently reached out to competitors like Roku and Comcast for help with ad sales.
Ah, great.
Because they know how to do it? Like, what would this even look like, I wonder?
Well, people have ad networks. They might want to extend them. So what they could say is, hey, we'll do a 3-year deal with you, Comcast or Roku. We just put this code into the Netflix free app, and they'll have like a Netflix Lite. Or maybe it's the same Netflix app because they want to move it up the rankings. Yeah. But we'll see. They might want to make it a different app experience. And you can't force yourself ahead. And they say, listen, we'll give you 20% of the revenue. You get to expand to 100,000 people, and it'll be a 3-year deal. And we'll all do better because you have this up and running already. So this would be, a fine thing to do in the short term for them to learn. Remember Yahoo, for people who don't remember or are too young, Yahoo licensed Google, and Google was the default search engine on Yahoo, and it just had Powered by Google on the bottom. And then eventually people just started clicking Powered by Google, and they started going directly to Google. And so there are business ideas like this out there where you can learn from a partner for some period of time, and it's destined to break up at some point. But there's been this talk of Netflix buying Roku. I think that'd be like I don't know if antitrust. It's weird to know what antitrust would do. In a down market, is really Biden and the antitrust and Lena Khan going to be like, you know what? We should really start attacking American companies that are, already getting their asses kicked, that are just trying to survive and laying people off. It's a really bad look. This is where politics comes into play. Lena Khan got put in there when the market was at a top and everybody hated billionaires and Bernie folks and Elizabeth Warren. Pay your fair share. And it's like, well, you made the tax law, so change the tax law if you want people to pay differently.
Oh, come on. Like, people aren't gaming the tax law. Give me a freaking break.
But you do have to change the tax law. You can't say capital gains. If we want to change the capital gain structure of the country.
Don't talk to Elizabeth Warren about that. Talk to Republicans about that.
Well, yeah. So somewhere between all politicians, if they want
the tax law, there's a $70 trillion tax gap. Anyway, sorry.
Okay. Well, if there are
a little fired up about
but there situation. There are people cheating on their taxes. Obviously, we should 10x the number of people working at the IRS.
There are individuals. Like, if we collected all the taxes that are owed in this country, we have all the money we need.
The fundamental, which would be great to just get people to pay what they're supposed to pay. But if you want people to pay differently, it is not helpful to attack folks who are playing by the rules. If capital gains works differently, if you don't have income and you just have capital gains, you might have 3 years where you pay no taxes, and then 2 years where you set records and pay the biggest taxes in the history of the universe.
Yeah.
So if you want to change that, then you change capital gains. And if you want to change capital gains, be prepared that America's not going to be the leading economy in the world with the most resilient and the most vibrant. So, in this case, like, I think Lena Khan.
So back to our original question is, what
do you think, Molly? Like, is Lena Khan going to be able to stop a deal between Roku and Netflix, two companies that have gotten completely demolished, completely beaten up? Would they have the high ground to do that? I think this might be an opportunity for some mid-sized, M&A to actually occur. Because if Peloton doesn't get bought by somebody, it could go out of business. And then do you want to be Lena Khan, who's like, or Biden? Oh, yeah, we didn't let you do this merger. And then the company went out of business and laid more people off.
I don't think the companies have objecting to mid-size. Like, nobody's objecting to mid-size mergers. There's going to be scrutiny, but I don't think Netflix and Roku, forget it. Neither of those are even approaching monopoly status. It is interesting, though, that the insider piece really poo-poos those rumors too, and is like, this is really unlikely because Netflix doesn't want to move into hardware. I mean, that's that seems like a sort of an overly simplistic reading that might have made more sense when the market was what it was and Netflix was in the position that it was, but I might be a lot more interested in like owning smart TVs now.
I mean, if they do build an ad network, then they want as many customers as possible to feed those ads to. Yeah. And so, because once you have the relationship with McDonald's or, Marvel, and Marvel's advertising, or the new Obi-Wan's getting advertised, they'll take as many viewers as you got. They want to get people over there. So, it's a lot of people who you didn't expect to build large advertising businesses have, like, Amazon and Apple all of a sudden have very robust advertising businesses because they have such a captured, well-heeled audience. And so, I'm very interested to see what happened with M&A. I think people have not tried to do M&A because they're so scared of wasting their time and then getting stopped at the finish line, that they haven't tried. So like the high ground for regulators, now I think the high ground goes to companies that want to do M&A. And go ahead, Lena Khan, go ahead, Biden. You want to, attack American companies at this moment in time during a recession with layoffs? Okay, go for it. Let's see what the optics look like. So all this stuff is political. In my mind.
It's going to be interesting times. All right. And then we have an amazing startup of the day. There is no good way to smoothly transition. This was evidently, speaking of ad networks, this was an ad that was served up to one of our producers, to producer Justin. So a little bit of a targeted advertising. No, it's produced to me.
I got this.
It was served to you?
Yeah, I tweeted this. I got this on Instagram. Yes. For some reason, Mark Wahlberg thinks this Catholic boy from Brooklyn needs to pray more.
Oh.
So Catholic boy from Boston. Our Father, full of grace. Say hi to your mom for me, J. Cal.
Hey, chicken.
Hey, chicken, how's it hanging?
Hey, chicken.
I love that one. Hey, chicken. Say hi to your mother for me.
Say hi to your mother for me, all right?
Say hi to your mother for me, J. Cal.
Well, at this point, I think we should probably all right, I'm going to give you the headline and then we're going to run the video. Catholic prayer app Hallow has raised $52 million and has ads featuring Mark Wahlberg that are being targeted to J. Cal, among others, Calm for Catholics. Let's get a little Mark Wahlberg fix today.
Oh, man, thank God. Thank Hallow. I'm prayed up today.
Prayed up.
Ready? We're going to fight the fight right now, baby. God bless you.
Yeah, that's it. God loves the cannons. So I actually tweeted this. Maybe this happened to both Justin and I. Justin, producer Justin, if you're on the line, did you actually? I
thought you got the ad too. Maybe
did you get the ad too, Justin? I tweeted a different ad this week and it went viral. I wonder, or maybe producer Justin's not here, but we'll get a check on if producer, because producer Justin's got to come on and talk about the caper of his laptop caper.
Exactly. Yes. He's going to be ready for the caper.
I got this one this weekend and said, wow, interesting app, but amazing delivery.
It's so great. He prayed up is his new line. So you got to stay prayed up. That's what he told me. J-Cal, you got to stay prayed up. And I was like,
John Shealy says,
do your rosary with
on my feed too. Oh my God.
Okay, I'm up on his feed too. He said, do the rosary with me. So you can do a virtual rosary. Like my grandmother, God rest her soul, would do the rosary. Anytime we did something bad or we got in trouble, she'd do a rosary for us. This is before you could play Bejeweled, like you're sitting at home and you had your...
I had a Catholic grandmother. I know what's up.
You'd literally take the rosary and each bead was a Hail Mary.
Every single thing all the time.
I want to get some Greek worry beads. There's a thing. My grandfather, God rest his soul, on my Greek side, he had this thing called worry beads. And I guess you would say a prayer for each one. Pull up Greek worry beads.
Yeah.
People don't know about this.
It's kind of like the rosary. I think that those are in other cultures also, I believe. But yeah.
Really? I need to get into some worry beads. But you'll see like old Greek men walking around with their worry beads and they just pull like one of these little, beans on it, little beads. And that's it. So this is what I want to do. I want to make This Week in Startups worry beads. This way, in the recession, you have your Greek worry beads. Each one of them is going to give you a foundational tenet of running a startup. So you'll get these and each one will be numbered or have an icon on it. Remember to understand your runway. Remember to update your investors, and you just go through it. Startups.
American Boy in our Noti gang says prayed up is common African American vernacular. Our grandparents say it, our parents say it, and so we say it too.
Oh.
And Mark Wahlberg. So anyway, but let's talk about this as a startup idea.
Oh, it's brilliant.
$52 million. Yeah, exactly. Catholic prayer and meditation app. It's like Calm for Catholics. Like I said, that claims over 1 million downloads. It was founded in 2018 by Alex Jones. I'm assuming not that Alex Jones.
Oh, please, Lord,
Alessandro
no.
DeSanto and Eric Carrekas, who started asking
Sounds
priests
great.
and members of the church about the intersection of meditation and faith, and found that there's a big crossover. They did $12 million in a Series A, have raised this $52 million overall, and a $40 million Series B. Investors include Peter Thiel, Contrary Capital, Sousa Ventures, and Scott Malpass.
Okay. So it's an alt-right, far-right thing, yeah. Ben Shapiro?
What?
He hasn't started the Ben Shapiro Daily Wire Fund yet?
But is it that? It's not that, Alex Jones, is it?
No. I mean,
No.
I'm hoping it's
Come
not that
on.
Alex Jones. I mean,
You're just
if Alex
trolling.
Jones secures the meditation bag, that's just unfair. But, I'm always fascinated that in the top 50 podcasts is this Father Mike Schmitz. I don't know, the Bible of the year, the Bible in a year.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always up there. I guess people like to listen to some podcasting stuff. So it's not that Alex Jones. It's this.
Oh, thank goodness. Bless.
It's this.
No,
Yeah.
no pun
Catholic
intended.
looking Alex Jones.
Yeah, he really, right? I mean,
Yeah.
what do you want from me? He's a redhead, we got blue eyes, like couldn't look more.
He looks like
look more Catholic.
there was a young priest I knew who looked like him. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm gonna leave it at that.
As we know, like product market fit really, really matters. And if you can find a super devoted, no pun intended, audience, and then say, we know that there is a proven market for meditation, for mindfulness, for this, a sense of achieving peace and having these moments throughout your day that get you grounded and centered and bring self-love. And then you can just sort of say, let's do that, but specifically for Catholics and for the devout. It's like, it seems like built-in money.
This is like the offertory or whatever that was called. Offertory. Basically when you went to church, Catholic church, they had a basket with a long handle on it. My grandfather on my Irish side, God rest his soul, he was an usher, and they would put the basket in front of each person slowly. Some people had money to put in, some people didn't. Some put $1, some put an envelope to, have their donation not be known. And I always just thought, I wonder if I could put $1 in there and pull one of those 5s out. That was always my thought. It's like, is there a sleight of hand trick where I can go put $1 in and grab the 5 out? But yeah. So anyway, there it is, folks.
That's a very sweet story about your religious upbringing.
Yes. I used to do 6:05 mass in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. And I would do it every Saturday, every Sunday with my grandfather.
Love it.
There were like 6 people there. It was like the people who these old people who wake up at 4 a.m. They would be outside of church 20 minutes early, and then they would go. All right, there it is. All right, well, we live in the future. Here we go. I love this app. We got to get Justin on because Justin had his laptop stolen from his apartment. Justin, you want to come on air and tell us what happened briefly, and then we'll talk about this We Live in the Future / Startup of the Day app. So, Justin.
All right.
We're in the group chat. All of a sudden, all bedlam breaks loose. Your laptops are stolen, and you go into full Columbo mode. What happened this week?
Yes. Yeah. Laptops are stolen sometime Sunday night, probably because my roommate didn't lock the door with the deadbolt.
Mm-hmm.
Your ex-roommate, you mean? Former roommate?
He's definitely still my roommate. I love him. He's great. But so once I find these are lost, I file the police report, but quickly notice that this is Bed-Stuy. This is not a priority. It's a couple $1,000s worth of laptops, which I think falls under grand larceny, but still, it's not a homicide. It's not something else. So I realize I'm going to need to do some detective work myself. And so I start pulling up find my devices. They're offline for a few hours. Eventually, they come up on at a house. So I kind of case that house, but realize I don't have a good approach. I try to go to the police again, say it's at this house.
They don't have a good approach. Like you couldn't take the shot is what you're saying? You don't know?
Exactly. My girlfriend was on the phone with me and I said, I'm going to go and I'm going to ring on the doorbell of this house. And she said, please do not do that. So then next day I see them moving. I'm writing the launch ticker, which is our newsletter that we send out. and I get an alert that the location's been found, which, and I see it's moving.
This is through the software that
this is through
Apple
Apple's
uses.
software.
Find My.
stock.
Now, for Find My to work, you don't have an LTE connection on your laptop. And in order to join a Wi-Fi network, it would have to be one that you were already on.
I'm members of a couple of like those generic like Comcast or like the Spectrum provider. So maybe that helped. But I know that the iPhone Apple Tag technology does reach out to other devices. And that's one way that they found it. So I wonder if Find My has that same thing, because these people never logged on to their own Wi-Fi network, as far as I can tell, because Apple lets you lock their device and the locks were never actually successfully pushed out. So they were just blocked by the password. They didn't get the message where when you have a device that's missing, you can put a little message and it puts it in a special locked mode. That never took into effect. So I see these devices moving and I'm like, oh man, they're about to be lost forever, shipped off to China or wherever else that they get fenced at. And so I put on my running shoes, start running, eventually find the laptop stop right in front of a electronics store. I run up, I probably get a foot away from the guys who have it. I see them holding my laptop, talking to each other about selling them. My girlfriend was kind of in the back of my mind.
They don't notice you.
Well, they see me. I'm sweating, but I'm not paying too much attention. I kind of like try to open up the door of the electronics shop, and I realize that it's not open for another 10 minutes. So at that point, I say I could confront them now, or I can wait and just kind of keep eyes on them a couple 100 meters away, call the cops. The cops arrive in 20 minutes. By that time, the gentlemen who stole my laptop have turned it over into the electronics store, either to sell or to see if they could get it jailbroken. But the cops helped me, and I collected them there. So that's my story.
So it's sort of like a magical We Live in the Future in terms of the connection and the Find My. Yeah. Good job not going full Batman.
I don't know. I kind of feel like the story would have been, I think for the show, it would have been better if there was a confrontation. So for ratings and for the show, I feel like you failed us, but you did get
I was actually thinking about
one of them was your laptop. One of them technically is my laptop.
I got it back.
So you did get it back.
No insurance. So and I was thinking of you the whole time because I know you like the movie Dredd.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need Judge Dredd to solve this for me. Just
guilty.
Walk into that house. Guilty, the like little confirmation from headquarters and just
such a
deal justice. So anyway, now you can talk about Prey.
Well handled. And don't listen to this guy who's like, it could have been better content if you got in a giant.
No, don't get into a confrontation. My immediate text was
like, I'm having a full on mom freak out right now. Like, mom energy. What is happening?
We need to know. However, I wonder if the Noties know, if somebody in the Noti crew or producers can tell us how this actually works. Does it actually work that you can find I need to know this. If you do Find My laptop and you do Find My laptop, does it, and you're not connected to Wi-Fi, does it connect by Bluetooth or whatever to an iPhone that's part of the Find My network that then gives you the location?
Yeah. I bet it's using
that's how
some
AirTags work. They took that technology from Tile.
Yep. I bet it's using some kind of a mesh network situation. However, what we think, and this is that we live in the future, and this was irresistible today. We had to do Hallow, and we had to do this app because we had Prey and Prey. This one is Prey.
Yes.
That's right. I'm not sorry about that. I laughed at my own joke all day long. Prey is a software and online platform for mobile device tracking, management, and protection, available for laptops, tablets, and mobiles. So I guess had this been installed, then you wouldn't even need the Find My, although it does apparently.
This one's got different
create
features.
A little mesh network.
Really interesting about Prey is that it will turn on your camera and your microphone. So if you are in stolen mode and somebody steals
nice.
You can then basically surveil people. And you can track even better. So this is why I think laptops should have LTE connections as a built-in feature. Because I had the original Chromebook had Verizon LTE built into it. What a delight to open your laptop up and just have LTE working on it, like with Google Fi for an extra $10.
Totally.
Why do we not have Apple laptops? You know, they sell their iPads with the option of having a cellular connection. Why not put that in every MacBook? Wouldn't that be the greatest feature ever? Wouldn't you pay an extra $100 for your laptop if you could have LTE based in it? And what if you could open it up and actually put your SIM card in? You know, you order an extra, all these places let you order an extra data SIM now. So
yeah, that'd be amazing. That'd be amazing.
Please do that. But I've been obsessed with this Pray because it also does it for Android phones and all your devices. I haven't actually used it myself, but the main feature is location tracking, and with active monitoring of device management, the service has automatic reactions to location triggers that alert its security functions when detected. Remote security capabilities users can recover or wipe information lost or stolen devices. So it's pretty groovy. I think people also use this to spy on people. So I'm reticent to...
I know. That's what I keep thinking too. I'm just like, if there's a backdoor in this app, like everyone can.
Well, I think if you install it, you know you have Prey installed. Like it's a system widget. You can't covertly do this and like spy on somebody. Like I know people do this to spy on their exes. Like is a whole thing.
I'd sort of rather have the Apple version.
Well,
maybe.
Yeah, I think if your laptop's super important, I think having one of these third-party tools is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then having it automatically connect to Wi-Fi networks. Like if you really don't want somebody to have it but you could also wipe this stuff and everything's in the cloud. So the ability to remote wipe and then just collect your insurance, I think, is the easiest thing. But there you have it, folks.
We live in the future.
Pray for Prey.
Pray for Prey.
Pray for Prey. Two very cool startups. Thanks for tuning in today, everybody. If you want to get involved in the live taping of the show, you know what to do. You go to youtube.com/thisweekin and you hit the notification bell. Go live around 10 a.m. every day, 5 days a week. Soon to be 7 days a week. It's our Saturday and Sunday show. Molly just fell out of her chair. Somebody help Molly up.
Why are you doing the Sunday show? What do you mean?
Well, no, I'm talking about a live version.
Oh, live version. Yeah, I did fall out of my chair.
On Sunday, we can pray, Molly. We're going to do
That was
me
doing the Roadrunner. Pew!
We're going to do prayer.